You guys, I don't know if the NBA offseason came up as quick for most of you as it did for myself, but it seemed like in almost the blink of an eye, there are 2 teams remaining focused on this season, while the 28 other teams and their fan bases sit in the shadows waiting to see what is going to happen over the next couple of months. And don't get me wrong, you guys, because I am so excited to watch this year's finals, but there is already so much offseason news that we absolutely need to talk about. Because in case you guys missed it over the last couple of days, there has been one draft prospect in particular that has been making the headlines more than anybody else across the board, and of course this is none other than Paolo Banchero, who is currently projected to go 3rd overall to the Houston Rockets. And if you're relatively new to the draft prospects like myself, the NBA world would have you thinking Paolo Banchero is doing everything he possibly can to force his way to Houston at the 3rd overall pick. And what exactly do I mean by this? Well, let's get into it. One sec though, guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for any of you guys that do, believe me, I appreciate you more than anything, because according to my numbers, over 95% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So again, thank you, but anyway, let's get back into NBA draft talk, which, believe it or not, is only 3 weeks away from the time I'm recording this, and honestly, at least in my personal opinion, I still think it's a pretty big toss-up in terms of who are the best prospects coming out of this draft. But even if you've been paying just the slightest attention to this draft, you probably know by now that the consensus top 3 picks will be Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paolo Banchero. And according to the NBA world and the fans, this is going to be the exact same order in which these 3 players will be picked as well. And of course, with all of the leaks, assumptions, and whatnot that have been coming out over the last couple of weeks, we have already seen the fan bases of these 3 teams completely manifest the idea that these said players are already on their squad. I mean, I think it's to the point where if the top 3 in the draft don't go, as I'm showing you on the screen right now, that some fan bases are going to absolutely lose their mind. And when I say this, I'm really focused on one in particular, and that is none other than the Houston Rockets and their found love for Paolo Banchero. Because it seems like Rockets fans everywhere think that they are about to get the steal of the century with Paolo at the number 3 pick if all goes according to plan. And don't get me wrong, because I am on this side too. I am completely on board the Paolo to Houston train. But if it wasn't enough convincing themselves that Paolo is 100% coming to Houston, they're also trying to convince the entire world as well, with some ridiculous and hilarious leaks regarding Paolo over the course of this week. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but just recently there was one quote in particular completely flooding all of my social media feeds regarding that reportedly top prospect Paolo Banchero ripped the Oklahoma City Thunder just weeks before the draft. And after seeing this, the trending quote going all throughout social media from Paolo Banchero read as the following, quote, "I grew up with the Seattle Supersonics a little bit. I've never really liked the Thunder." Now, after seeing the quote in itself circulate all throughout social media, I was originally surprised, but I also wasn't at the same time. I was originally surprised in the fact that we typically don't see top prospects like this speak out about not wanting to play for a specific team. I mean, I'm sure all of you guys can think back to a time or two, not just in basketball, but other sports as well, where a player has told a specific team not to draft him for what they believe will be for the better sake of their career. And where it didn't surprise me is that Paolo Banchero did grow up in Seattle. He actually played high school ball there as well. And I mean, he was just simply referring to the relocation of what probably was his favorite sports team as a kid. Like, if you're a Thunder fan and want him, yeah, it's not the best quote in the world to hear, but it also seemed blown out of proportion as to what it actually means. But then, as you could have guessed with a quote like this, headlines start circulating the masses about how Paolo Banchero is trying to avoid the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that Houston is his primal destination. But as I've learned through the years, and seemingly still haven't learned enough, you can never trust anything that you originally see without diving into it a bit. And long story short, this quote, yeah, it actually happened. It's a factual quote that you're seeing in every article and every tweet, but there's just one little detail that everyone coincidentally is leaving out, and it's that this quote is from high school. Yes, high school, over a year ago. And again, you got headlines pointing left and right telling you that Paolo Banchero just came out with this quote earlier this week, making it seem like the last place on earth Paolo wants to be is in Oklahoma City. So, was the quote taken out of context? Yeah, just a little bit when you look into it. But do I think it changes the idea that Houston is Paolo Banchero's #1 destination in this year's draft? Personally, I don't think so. I think that Paolo Banchero still 100% wants to go to Houston, and I 100% can see why. I mean, talking to Houston Rockets fans in particular right now, if you somehow don't end up with Paolo Banchero, but you get one of the top 3 prospects mentioned, there really isn't a losing situation here, especially when you look into all of their freshman year averages coming into this draft, and on top of that, the different skill sets and options any one of these 3 players could bring to any team. But again, I'll agree with almost everything I've seen from Houston Rockets fans, and that Paolo Banchero is the perfect fit into what this Rockets team needs and where they're going. Because not only is Paolo's skill set and versatility one of the most ridiculous we see out of anybody within this class, and if you disagree, I mean he is a 6'10", 250-pound monster that can do everything at least average, but on top of that, he is also able to add a sense of playmaking at a front court position, and would give this young and growing team, including the face of the franchise picked up last year in Jalen Green, so many more scheming options to build around in the near future. Obviously, a prospect like Paolo Banchero is not going to speak out as to what team he would prefer most to go to, but when looking at the different possibilities in terms of what is the best fit and also what would be the most entertaining fit, I am with every Houston Rockets fan in manifesting the idea of seeing Paolo Banchero and Jalen Green on the court together in 2023. Still though, there's no guarantee. We'll just have to wait and see how the draft unfolds on June 23rd, just a couple weeks away. But with this, you guys, which is my favorite part of every single video, I want to hear what you guys have to think about this situation. So please let me know in the comments, do you guys think the top 3 picks in this draft are already mortal locks? And also, what do you guys think Paolo Banchero will be capable of at the NBA level? And also guys, again, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course subscribe while you're down there. We have been hammering out playoff content recently, and with the off season just around the corner, we're gonna have so much to talk about over the next couple of months. So just believe me when I say it, you do not want to miss out. But anyway, you guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.